We will very quickly reintroduce ourselves. I'm Michael Moss. I'm the co-lead for Criterion 5.
Hi, Thomas Warfield. I'm the other co-lead. I'm the director for the Office of Institutional Research.
And I'm Mary Ellen Borchers. I serve as the team writer.
So for Criterion 5, we must address institutional effectiveness, resources, and planning. We must demonstrate that the institution's resources, structures, processes, and planning are sufficient to fulfill our mission, improve the quality of our educational offerings, and respond to future challenges and opportunities. In 5A, Thomas is going to be discussing administrative structures and collaborative processes, addressing topics such as shared governance, data-informed decision-making, and faculty engagement. I will be discussing resource allocation and stewardship, covering topics such as budgeting and monitoring finances, talk about how our resource allocations support our educational priorities, and highlight our investment in the infrastructure that is necessary to support our mission. Mary Ellen will discuss systematic and integrated planning, including how our resource allocation aligns with our strategic priorities, how budget planning and operations are linked to student learning, and how planning processes are collaborative, data-informed, and systematically applied. Next slide. So here is the members of the Criterion 5 team. These are people who helped us to draft our argument and also to come up with evidence that we included in the argument. We very much appreciate their support and their help. And as others have stated, there's others that we were working with that are not listed here. Next slide. Thomas?
So for core component 5A, through its administrative structures and collaborative processes, the institution's leadership demonstrates that it's effective and enables the institution to fulfill its mission. There were 3 subcomponents for this. 5A1, shared governance and structures to engage in planning and policy. 5A2, that we are able to demonstrate data-informed decision-making is occurring at the institution. And then 5A3, that we have evidence of collaborative structures for academic policy and processes. So some of the examples of what we've included in here, most basic of all is just a general organizational chart of the entire institution as a whole. Then we provided a wide variety of evidence related to different kinds of administrative structures that are present at the university, including the UIC Senate, Faculty Advisory Committee, a bunch of different other committees related to things for different types of employees like APAC, student government, and other things. For some examples that we provided to try and highlight the data-informed decision-making, one of the big things that we had was actually during COVID. We provided evidence of student surveys that we did just to evaluate how students were doing during COVID and identify sort of gaps that they were experiencing. And based off of those surveys, it helped inform the decision of the university to allocate resources towards development of a program for laptop loans and hotspots, just to try and help students overcome technology gaps during that period. And then we have just a variety of other sort of collaborative resources that we provide. Next slide, please.
So I'm going to cover resource allocation and stewardship. Here we must demonstrate that the institution's resource base supports its educational offerings and its plans for maintaining and strengthening their quality in the future. In terms of budgeting and monitoring finances, UIC operates under a Responsibility Center Management Budget Model, or RCM. We have an annual budget planning process that kicks off with the distribution of budget planning parameters. We then conduct budget meetings with deans, vice chancellors, and vice provosts, as well as their leadership, the chancellor, provost, and vice chancellor for health affairs. Our budget planning process culminates in the budget summary for operations, which is submitted to and approved by our Board of Trustees annually, and it provides us with expenditure authority, which is required under Illinois state law. In terms of allocating resources to ensure that our educational purposes are achieved, Agnes has already hit on a prime example, which I will highlight, which is our institutionally funded financial aid program. We spend $35.9 million on our UIC Opportunity Grant, which provides access to low-income students And we spend another $6.2 million for our President's Award program, which provides access to low-income students who demonstrate academic merit. UIC also has a diverse financial portfolio. Sponsored project awards reached $500 million in fiscal year 23. And in terms of philanthropy, our Ignite campaign raised over $800 million, which was well in excess of our $750 million goal. In terms of infrastructure to guide our capital planning, the UIC Master Plan was last approved by our Board of Trustees in 2018. We've also been expanding our facilities. We have the Academic Residential Complex, or ARC, the Engineering and Innovation Building, and the Computer Design Research and Learning Center. In terms of information technology and infrastructure, the campus has made a $46.7 million investment in the Forward Initiative, which targets network, data center, and research commuting. In terms of qualified and trained faculty and staff, there are many many development programs available through human resources as well as faculty affairs. And as Eric mentioned, we also have multiple centrally funded hiring programs to recruit world-class faculty. The university has committed $11.4 million to our Bridge to Faculty program, $6.9 million to our Cluster Hire program, $6.1 million to our Target of Opportunity program, and $5.4 million to our Underrepresented Faculty Recruitment program. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mary Ellen.
Thank you.
I don't think that one worked. No.
I didn't think so. Good morning. So the last core component of Criterion 5 is 5C, which focuses on demonstrating that UIC engages in systematic and integrated planning and improvement. There are 6 subcomponents to this that focus on how we allocate resources in alignment with our mission and our strategic priorities, how we link our processes for assessment with our processes and plans to make improvements and to budget, how our planning processes engage various stakeholder groups, internal and externally, and how our plans use sound understanding of our capacity, of our opportunities to transform our finances or facilities or other pieces of our operation, that we anticipate those shifts in technology, demographics, economics, and so on, and that we do so in a way that is systematic across the institution, and that we demonstrate real improvements and with outcomes for those efforts. So some of the things that we discuss and provide evidence for in this piece of the argument include description of our 2016 and 2021 strategic priorities and how we came about developing those in both efforts, how during 2016 up until current times, how we've been allocating resources and advancing those priorities and achieving goals that are identified within that plan. We talk about our budget model redesign process. We've described already within the Criterion how the budget model works to help us fulfill our mission in terms of being a decentralized model that empowers the colleges to deploy resources in alignment with university-wide goals in a way that meets the local needs of the college. And what's come out of that is a goal within the redesign project to strengthen our strategic alignment with incentives and clearer flow of funds, and to improve the transparency in how units are funded. And again, all based on some early workings that we describe in terms of there being a desire to maintain our current RCM budget model, but to improve upon it and strengthen it so that it serves the institution even better. We also talk about the enhancements that have been made in recent years to our space and our capital planning process, and talk about the prioritization of projects that come out of the annual report that results from that. We talk about various forms of assessments leading to improvements. So we talk about various examples of academic program reviews that have taken place and how those informed actionable items that we did, various facility improvements, and certainly our student success initiatives projects, which provide a broad umbrella for understanding a myriad of projects under a common theme set of goals. Lastly, we talk about various strategic planning efforts and the types of processes and approaches that happen at the college level and at the unit level, and how those align to university-wide planning that takes place. We talk about our strategic acquisitions and new partnerships and the type of thinking that we're putting into continuing to respond to ever-changing needs of our student base, of our faculty and staff, to continue to provide a strong and healthy operation to advance our mission. And of course, as others have touched on, a key piece that we talk about as well within this is the equity plan and the Advancing Racial Equity Initiative, and how that approach is allowing UIC to systematically address and help close equity gaps that we observe around campus. And with that, I will turn it over to our final questions.
So for the reviewer question section, just to provide a little framing, we had a mock site review with experts from HLC that came to UIC in October, and we just wanted to make it clear, like, they provided extremely positive feedback for us. They said if we changed nothing in our assurance argument, that we were probably good to go at that point. And that's not just for Criteria 5, that was for the assurance argument in general. But even given that, Criteria 5 in particular, it's very broad topic because we're covering basically all resources in the university budget, the employees, the data, and UIC is a particularly large and complex organization, so we had to be very strategic in the types of evidence that we were trying to present to try and hit on the different aspects of the criteria, but it's impossible to cover everything. And something that they wanted to reinforce as well is that every evaluation team is different. They have different constituencies with different backgrounds and different interests. So just given that diversity, there are definitely going to be questions that they're going to ask because they're going to be interested in different kinds of information or evidence, or just given their particular background, they might view something as particularly impactful that they just want to review. So a couple of things that we wanted to highlight. One was our deferred maintenance thing. We have a large backlog of deferred maintenance at UIC, so the mock reviewers in particular were really interested in our plans for how we're going to address that backlog. Part of our strategy, we have a good conversation with Vice Chancellor for Administrative Services and their team, so they immediately responded with a bunch of additional excellent evidence, and we were able to provide that to the mock site review team, and that's the same kind of process that we'll be doing during the site visit itself. Just being able to respond very quickly to any kind of questions that might come up. One other thing that we wanted to highlight in particular was our audited financial statements. This is something that came up during the last review for UIC specifically. It's a common thing for state systems. HLC likes to see an audited financial statement that is specific to each individual university, but because we're part of a system, we get one consolidated financial statement for the system as a whole. So that's something that we very explicitly address in the assurance argument. We don't anticipate that it'll be an issue, but it's something that's been raised, so we just want to make sure that we're very clear and deliberate about that. We did have conversations with our sister campus in Urbana, who recently completed their accreditation as well, and it's actually something that did not come up during their visit. So that's something that kind of highlights where the diversity of the review group can lead to different questions. And last thing that we wanted to highlight was that evidence and data and decision-making, because of the diversity of that group, they might want to see a lot of different examples. So that's just something that we're definitely prepared to address as we go through this process. So that closes out the Criterion review section of the presentation. At this point, I want to turn it back over to Vice Provost Bareilles for the Q&A.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Thank you, everyone here. Wonderful presentations, a lot of information to digest. And all these slides will be available on the HLC website. So let me remind all the attendees that they can use the QR code to send questions. Even if you didn't have a chance to send questions today, there is the Q&As part on the HLC website that you can send us comments, questions, any feedback on the assurance argument that is live online right now. Also, you can use the Q&A option in Zoom if you would like to send some questions. In the meantime, there are some questions already, so I would like to ask the first one. And can one of the peer reviewers in the panel comment on what to expect during the visit and what we will be asked to do as an institution before the visit? For example, collection of course syllabi or anything else that you want to comment on. And I know we have 3 peer reviewers, so I don't want to pick one. The mic, just the mic. Just wait.
Yes, sir. Okay. Preparation in advance. They will ask us for an assortment of syllabi. We've already taken some steps to coordinate with the colleges to be able to turn that around. We will possibly, at the start of the visit, be asked about faculty credentials and how do we know that our faculty have the credentials that we say. During the visit, I think the easiest way to put it is that there'll be 3 kinds of sessions. That is, there will be the sessions that are pre-programmed to have the reviewers meet with our team, to meet with senior leadership, and to meet with some specific functions on campus. There will be large forums organized around the criteria where it's really important for a range of members of the community, including not just faculty, but also students and staff, to be able to be there to ask these searching questions from the reviewers and to talk about the university and its programs. Then there also will be other meetings where we won't know about them until almost the eve of the visit, where they say, we're really interested in what we're seeing, but we need more answers on the following. And you need to put the following people in a room for us, and we'll meet you on the second day.
I think it's important to know also. I think it's important to also note that the peer reviewers are colleagues, right? They're colleagues from another institution. They understand the complexities of a large institution, and generally HLC tries to select folks that are coming from institutions that are similar, right? And so they know that everything is not perfect. They know things are in process. They know that things are dynamic as well. And so I want to level set. They're not these folks that are coming from the sky dropping down, right? They're us.
All right, thank you. Ralphin, any comments? You're the third one.
I just want to mention that there may be some folks topic meetings, and based on the previous experience, they may have a meeting about the assessment of still learning, and we will know the agenda about 1 week before the site visit. At that time, we will, before that, we will, make sure, and the target group will have the information way in advance. And also before the 1 week before the visit, we will inform the target group to be ready for those meetings.
Thank you. I would like also to make a note here that as part of our preparation process, we have had a mock site visit a month or so ago. Actually, maybe it was almost exactly a month. By a distinguished review team of panelists who have collectively, they have had 4 decades of experience in HLC and with HLC peer review system. So the purpose of the visit was to get feedback from the reviewers on our prepared material and what to expect with the actual visit next March. Some actually of the type of questions that you saw in the slides today came from their feedback. And they gave us also feedback on our assurance argument, which is we are incorporating right now as a next step to finalize the documents. So with that, I will pass it to Rita to just let us know what we should be expecting over the next month before we finalize our documents.
Thank you. So first, I want to say thank you to the panelists. I think they did a fantastic job in condensing and summarizing. It's a very dense argument. It's not easy to do. So that was wonderful. Thank you all. In terms of the next steps, we will be collecting any comments, suggestions, feedback. I put the slide up there. The assurance argument is posted already for campus review. So if you have any comments, or suggestions or just questions, send them to us. We factor that in. We are going to look at the mock site visit feedback, and then we're also going to look at any other questions that have come up. This group is going to make the revisions between now and just about pre-Thanksgiving, following which there'll be some editorial work on it, and Eric is our editor, so that is going to happen. The core team will also be deliberating, making sure that we've been as inclusive and included everything that needs to be. Early December, I want to say December 3rd, it'll open up for the second review by executive leadership. So that's all the vice provosts, the provost, chancellor, vice chancellor units, college deans, and then as a result, downstream from the colleges from that office. It's open. So there'll be a short window from December 3rd to December 15th. My hope is to be able to give people access in the HLC system. Now, you have to remember that at any point, you can only have 15 people in that system at one time. So somehow some tips and tricks have to be done so that people can get access. It's really convenient. You read it and then, the evidence pops up. I think only the senior most executives will probably have access to that. But that's the process. And then I think December, we are just going to sit on it and, I don't know, put it next to the pillow, go to bed with it. Maybe, just make sure that the evidence is in great shape. Mid-January is when we will submit the assurance argument. In addition, I don't know, Nikos, if you were going to say something, but we also have a student opinion survey. Did you want to say anything about that?
No, go ahead.
All right. So early January, we expect HLC to implement and launch a student opinion survey. So all our students, online, hybrid, face-to-face, all campuses, everybody will get that link. We support them in terms of implementation, but they collect the data, analyze it, and it's a very short window. I want to say it's about 12, 14 days. It could be off by a couple of days. Very, very short. They want to look at campus engagement. They want to look at student perspectives. That's something that they'll be looking at results-wise, and it'll be in their back pocket when they come to visit us in March. Eric or anybody else, do you want to add anything to that student opinion? Okay. Yeah.
All right. So with that, let's give another round of applause to our panelists. So thank you for attending this presentation today and for all your questions and comments. More information about today's presentation and future announcements will be made available on the HLC website. So another reminder to mark your calendars for next March 11th and 12th when we have the HLC visit. So enjoy the rest of the day and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you again.
Thank you. There are refreshments. Please make sure you have some coffee and fruit before you leave. Why not? It's Friday. I mean,